The wait is over. Welcome back to the new and improved Cooking It with Channin Murrie. Today we will be preparing a southern fried catfish with JoJo potatoes and homemade tartar sauce. Now, who doesn't love a good fish fry? Did you know it is a time-honored tradition in the African American community? It was one of the few meals that slaves got to enjoy on their own time with one another. The practice carried throughout the United States through the Great Migration, in which you get all types of fish fries, from cod, haddock, whiting, perch, and so forth. And today we're preparing with catfish. When I get my catfish, I like to clean my catfish with cold water and fresh lemon juice. After I wash it with lemon juice, then I rinse it off one more time with cold water. Follow that by placing that catfish on a napkin so that I can dry off the excess moisture from the catfish. That way when I put my paste on it, it will stick to the catfish a lot better. So once your fish is kind of dry a little bit, I like to take my fillets and cut them in half. That'll help out with the cook time, and I just think it gets a better, crispier flavor around the fish, but you're more than welcome to keep it whole. Just note that your cook time is going to be a little bit longer. Also, a cool thing is you can take one fillet and turn it into two fillets, so if you have a huge fish fry that's going on, it'll allow the fish to scale out a lot more. And so as you can see, I cut all my fish. And next I wanted to start off with my paste. Now I got this inspiration. I'm from Mississippi, and next door to me is Louisiana. And I had an opportunity, someone introduced the idea of using yellow mustard. And I played with this idea and I was like, yes, this is it. So what I like to do is take some yellow mustard, and then I like to season my mustard. You'll notice I didn't put any seasoning on my catfish, but I'm putting it all in my paste. So I did garlic powder, onion powder, some seasoning salt, some sea salt as well. Now you can use sea salt or kosher salt. I personally don't prefer iodine salt because it tends to flavor it more than I like. I don't care for that chemical flavor. And as you notice, I also have some black pepper in there. And so what I like to do is take a bowl and put the mustard at the bottom first. That way when I layer my fish, it has something to sit on. We're trying to get the flavor of the mustard all over the catfish as much as possible. And then you want to just make sure you get everything evenly coated. Once you have the catfish coated, put some plastic wrap on it and put it in the refrigerator. The key to frying good crispy food is making sure that the food is cold when it hits the hot grease, and that helps create a crust that's a lot more crunchier. I put in a large pan cornmeal batter. You can use any fish fry batter that you like. You want to make sure you have enough. That's the key, because you want to be able to coat the fish. And then a little secret that I like to do to add a little bit extra crispiness is add cornstarch. And you want to make sure you mix it. So you want something about, I would say, 1 part to 3 parts if you want for a ratio of how much cornstarch to cornmeal. Now as my fish is marinating in the mustard, I'm going to go ahead and start slicing my JoJo potatoes. Now JoJo potatoes is something that I'm used to having. I know it's something in Mississippi that I eat a lot. Also, I would say Georgians probably know what JoJo potatoes are, and what it is basically potatoes quartered into wedges where you keep them in bigger pieces, and then you deep fry them. But I did something with a little bit twist to them because I wanted to add a little bit of crispiness to them. Now the key to making sure your potatoes do not change colors is you want to place it into water. And I put rice vinegar and sea salt because I want to infuse as much flavor as possible into my potatoes. And I'm going to let those sit, but make sure they're fully submerged. Next, I have to set up my batter, my wet batter for my potatoes. And I have 2 eggs that I'm going to place in a bowl. And I'm going to scramble those eggs. You want to add some sea salt, and then a little bit of seasoning salt and some onion powder. And then finish it off with some black pepper. And then I put about 1/8 cup of cornstarch in there and then whisk everything together. So I use 2 salts. So when you're gonna use 2 salts, that means you don't want to be too heavy-handed on either one. The sea salt is because we're cooking with seafood, so I like to infuse that flavor throughout. And now in a bowl, I'm gonna do 3 parts flour and 1 part cornstarch. Once again, cornstarch helps things to build a better, crispier crust. And then I'm also gonna season the dry mix with sea salt as well. So you want to season all the way through the process because potatoes are thick, one, and because of that, you want to make sure it's flavorful, because nothing worse than having some French fries that are not seasoned properly. Now to a pot, you want to add some vegetable oil, and you want it high enough or deep enough so that you can be able to do a deep fry. And I did a mix of vegetable oil, 2 parts, and then 1 part grapeseed oil. I kind of like what grapeseed oil does. It's starting to do wonderful things with frying. Now you want to take your potatoes out of the water and you want to slightly dry it on the paper towel and then rub the egg mixture on it. Next time, I will say I probably have a little bit bigger bowl, but in this case it worked out. And you want to use one hand as a wet hand and then use another hand as a dry hand. That way you won't have as many clumps in your dry batter mixture. And then have a plate where you can put down your potatoes. And now the reason why you want to dry the potato first is so that the egg yolk mixture will stick to it a little bit better. And the goal is to bread all your fries before taking it to the grease. And you may have to put a little bit more cornstarch mix on the potatoes just to make sure they're properly coated. And when your grease is properly heated, put your potatoes in. Now you don't want to overcrowd your grease because then the temperature will go down. So I put in, I believe, about 4-5 max in this size pot. And that way it can stay at a decent temperature. Create that golden crust that you see. Now as you notice, I cooked my fries first because the grease won't change colors as much. Also, I like my fish to be the freshest thing, so I like to put my JoJo potatoes on parchment paper and then season it a little bit more with a seasoning salt on top, guys. Trust me, I'm not using a lot of salt. And to keep them warm while we're cooking the fish, temperature about 200 degrees in the oven, and that way you can put it in the oven and then go ahead with your fish. Now let's take out our catfish. Out of the refrigerator, we have our cornmeal and cornstarch batter, dry batter, and we want to start to coat our fish evenly. And in this case, I like to put a few down, coat it very well, and then I'll eventually move it to the side and put some more cornmeal. So you want to make sure you have enough cornmeal and cornstarch blend so that you can coat all your fish, and so it won't be sticky, but it'll be covered evenly on your fish. And you want to coat everything before you fry it, just because it makes the process a lot smoother. Because everything is on a time situation. And as you can see, everything is coated. Now, disclaimer, I did almost burn my grease a little bit. So look, I'm trying to be transparent with you all. But it happens sometimes. So what I did is I just filtered my oil out from the bits from the JoJo potatoes, and then I was able to get this slightly more brown grease, but it still turned out really good, and it gave me a really nice golden brown catfish. And that mustard, guys, helps with that crust, with that cornmeal batter to stick, and that's what I really enjoy about using mustard with my fish. Last but not least, we got to make our homemade tartar sauce. So what I have is some fresh dill. I got like 1 bushel of dill, and I took all the little small pieces off and I left the stems to the side. And what you want to do is mince that down as much as you possibly can. Dill smells so great, and it always pairs very well with seafood. And so as you can see, I have everything kind of in mise en place. I have some parsley that I took as well. I would say about 1/2 bushel, and I minced that as well. And so I have some mayonnaise. I have about 2/3 cups of mayonnaise. After that, I had some diced pickles. I would say about 1/4 cup of diced pickles. In this case, I used some bread and butter pickles, and I just chopped those up, or you can use some dill pickles. And then I would say I took about 1 tablespoon of fresh dill. You can always put less and then add more to it. And lastly, I put some parsley. And then I want to finish that off with some lemon juice, which I took about 1/2 of a lemon. And then grind some fresh black pepper on top. Put your shallots in there. You can use yellow onion, but I like shallots because it just have a little bit more complex onion flavor to it. And you want to mix it up, and then the last thing that you want to do is put a little pinch of sugar, and that's going to help balance that acidic flavor from the lemons and the fresh herbal flavors from the dill and the parsley. And that's it, guys. And the cool thing is, with the tartar sauce, it will keep up to a month in the refrigerator. Fresh, just make sure it's covered. So there you have it, southern fried catfish with JoJo potatoes and homemade tartar sauce. I hope you all give this a try. If you like it, please hit the like button and subscribe. More content will be coming out, guys. I love you all, and stay tuned until next time.